What is going on, all you awesome super aficionados? This is the Heroes of Mutants podcast. We know there's been a slight delay in us coming out with new episodes, but we are here in all our glory, and we're so excited to be here talking to you guys. I'm Nick with my co-hosts,
Josh,
Hummus,
and of course we can't forget the undeniable, handsome, definitely the one you guys want to hear the most of his introspective analysis on.
Woody Woods. You already know me as Ruben. Here's Ruben right here. But not only that, I like the way you were saying, welcome back and all that stuff. But this is the first time we've been full strong in a while.
It's been a minute.
Strong. It's always been like, someone missing in the batch.
Exactly.
Like we said, it's the whole TMNT freaking squad.
So how are you guys doing today, man? Missed you guys. Been a little bit of a minute.
Been a minute. Hanging in there. You know what I'm saying? Hanging in there. But hey, glad to have both of y'all back. It's been a while since I've seen both of you guys here.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. Personally, I'd rather not get into my life, but I will say this.
You ain't got it.
Well,
on a more nerdy perspective, I couldn't be happier.
Perfect time to be
here
early for this little guy.
My inner fanboy had his dreams answered.
An interesting development too today.
No.
Interesting development today too. It was revealed that Pierce Brosnan has been cast as Dr. Fate in the Black Adam movie, which is perfect casting if you ask me. So make sure you guys are on the lookout for all that. So all of the Justice Society of America has been fully casted with, he was the last one that was to be casted. So can't wait to see what they do with that, and seeing that movie come out is going to be freaking awesome. So now I think it's time for us to get to the core of what, there's been something that came out recently, a few things. I'm thinking Bucky and Falcon and Winter Soldier was the most important thing to come out recently, right?
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It is an important thing.
Should we let the fans know what that thing is?
Okay, so for all of you out there, Zack Snyder's full 4-hour version of the Justice League film has finally been released to replace that Joss Whedon hunk of crap that we got in 2017.
Hey, it was somewhat decent. Moderately.
The only parts that were decent are stuff that's already in the Snyder.
That was Snyder's version.
Basically.
That is true.
Whatever Joss Whedon did, I don't know what he did, but it was not good.
I don't even remember Joss Whedon's version anymore.
I feel like a lot of people just collectively, we went to go see the first Justice League, and it was so embarrassing. I think a lot of fans just erased it from their head and just
100%.
It doesn't exist. Yeah. Especially if you're a DC fan, you're getting creamed by Marvel as far as films, and the Justice League original version was a huge failure to try to do what Marvel was doing with their Avengers film.
Well, especially just because it had a trouble production. I mean, you had heard obviously in early 2017 after they had finished filming, and they were working on editing and cutting the film. Zack Snyder had obviously a huge tragedy with the loss of his daughter Autumn, who this movie is dedicated to. So I want to give a quick rest in peace to Autumn Schneider. This movie is dedicated in your memory. So, and then knowing that when it was announced that Joss Whedon was taking over reshoots and finishing the film, I don't know, man, it just felt very weird, and it felt like they had that Warner Bros. They kind of wanted to go in this direction of releasing him, because obviously this was a little bit after Batman vs Superman, and that movie got torn to shreds. And I felt like it was just an easy out for them to be like, he wasn't fired, but he left because. So I think it was a way for. I won't say that he was fired, but I think they were kind of looking at that alternative.
I don't like to be speculative, but I do think that Warner Brothers probably thought it worked to their benefit.
Definitely.
And I always was heartbroken when I had first heard that. However, when it was first announced that Joss Whedon was going to be taking over for Zack Snyder, I was like, okay, for one, I was not a big fan of Batman vs Superman, so by that point, I had completely lost faith in whatever Zack Snyder's vision for the DC universe. It has its fans, dude. A lot of people love Batman vs Superman, and in fact, if Batman vs Superman did not have dedicated fans, we would have
never had the Snyder
cut for Justice League.
Definitely.
So I kind of had given up on it, and when I saw the Joss Whedon version, I was like, dude, they should have just let Zack Snyder on. Maybe if it wasn't going to be good, at least it's consistent and it doesn't shove a style.
Correlate with the time.
Yeah, and I think that's what most shocks me about the Snyder Cut is that I had completely written off Zack Snyder as far as a DC content creator that I didn't really care if he did it or not.
Right.
With all respect, he's a very talented filmmaker.
Of course.
I just don't think he got those characters
Yeah.
right for me. I was shocked and blown away by how much I liked it. I didn't just like it, I loved it.
Exactly.
I thought it was an awesome movie.
Right.
I
I mean, I think you and me were kind of on that same page with that because we both had said, "Hey, this is cool. This is going to be awesome."
I was happy
excited
it was
to
getting
see-
done. Yeah.
I was happy to see his full vision realized because obviously there was so much butchering and so much botchness going on with Justice League. So
Justice League.
and just the way that they try to
That's
make
what
it
they call
very
it.
Justice
That's what they're
League.
calling his version on League. It's
It
not
only makes sense.
I thought you
It's
said
the
Joss.
Yeah.
But at that same time, we had
That's so
that was looming over our heads where it said this kind of has to be really good because it just wouldn't really it would hard to really have that understanding of they're adding $70 million to this movie, they're doing all these reshoots, they're doing a lot more. It's not just they're having existing footage.
Many reshoots to that.
Well, they did mainly the Martian Manhunter, the Nightmare sequence, obviously anything
the
involving.
reshoots after everything was basically done.
Oh, yeah,
But it
that's
wasn't a lot,
reshoots.
though.
But
Yeah.
you could tell though
Yeah.
that Ben Affleck looks skinnier
Yeah, he did.
in the reshoots, and that's at the end scene
Mhm.
because years have passed and he's lost weight, and
Yeah.
he was also was having a problem with alcoholism at the time. When
Exactly.
Joss Whedon came on, and he was not in. And you know, I could tell the difference because his performance in the Zack Snyder finished version is so much better than what we got. In Joss Whedon's version, it looked like Ben Affleck was embarrassed to be doing what he was doing. on
Exactly.
screen.
Definitely.
That's the impression that I got off of it.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't
It
think
seemed less
that was
cheesy
bad.
too, in that
Right.
sense of.
Yeah, there was just so much cheese, and they try to add so much humor into it, and you're left with a Bruce Wayne and a Batman that is a caricature of himself, and not that brooding hero that we've grown to love in the comics and in the animated series and all of that. So it just felt I felt like there was just a whole lot of injustice towards Batman's character, and especially like a lot of the quips and a lot of the stuff that they threw in to make it funnier and to spice it up in that
say
sense.
some funny stuff too, like he's just joking around. Like,
But
it's
it works
just-
better.
Yeah, it did work better.
Yeah, but I mean, his humor comes off of his stoicness and his no-nonsense
Exactly,
attitude
yeah.
in conjunction with the other characters.
Yeah.
That's one thing that surprised me is that I thought that all the humor in the movie was Joss Whedon's, all the jokes, and I was like, I guess some of them were actually Zack Snyder's. And it's
Yeah.
funny that I'm Rich line where they asked, "What's your superpower?"
Yeah, I thought that was going to be taken out.
And you know what's funny? It actually works in this version because by the point we get to that point, by the time we get there, Batman has not been built up to be a joke.
Mm.
So one little quip isn't gonna.
And
like,
plus
throw
the way he
character
says
off.
it, he still has that stoicness to him that's very reminiscent of the character that we know. And it's not like he's laying on the ground like, oh, something's definitely bleeding, or having jokes with Aquaman 2 freaking times on, oh, so you like to fish, right? Like, oh, come on, Bruce, this is not Bruce Wayne. What the hell is this?
Not only that, though, another thing that they took out about Bruce, that made him look strong and weak but strong at the same time. I say weak first because remember, like you said, when he was all bruised up, and then Wonder Woman comes and checks up on him, and like, aren't you too old to be doing this and all that stuff? You remember that, right? Yeah. So it's like,
Well, she says you can't do this forever, and he says like, I can barely do it now.
Yeah,
That's what he says.
basically. Well, basically saying, you're too old for this, and they completely took that scene out.
And
So but basically what I'm saying is, they
Joss Whedon had key parts in his film too.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
they had those moments, but just overall the vision of
But-
Zack Snyder.
I feel like
Overall,
he
was
didn't try to make him look more
goofy.
goofy and weaker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because hear him say, "Oh, we need Superman. We need to."
Oh shit! I want to.
He's buying comic books over here.
Oh yeah, so Ruben, the nerd that he is bidding on comic books right now. as we speak.
Which
What
is
was
just
it?
pick up.
It was just a Mrs. Marvel #1.
It's still worth something though.
It was the fried pie variant.
Oh, nice.
And you know how what was it? What they say in July? Mrs. Marvel #1 on Disney Plus. Oh, not #1, but I was just the comic I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
But Miss Marvel coming out on Disney Plus is coming on Disney
Oh, yeah,
Plus
that'd be great,
series.
but-
So
So overall, what do you guys rate Snyder's Justice League?
9 out of 10.
What about you, Josh?
ooh, 9 out of 10.
Yep.
Bold.
9 out of 10.
Give it like a 8.5.
Well, what
It's a
about
strong
you?
rating too.
Still good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. Like it's a movie that
Yeah.
if I had the time, like I'll actually.
I
sit down
do
all
admit
4
it's way
hours
better
and-
than the first one. There are like
had me
some
excited.
things that I don't like about the film.
That's
Well,
not
when it comes to CGI though, but that's not the question. 8.5, yeah, 8 or 8.5.
I definitely give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8.
Which is funny because I think I was the one who had like the most doubts about how the film was going to turn out. I said to myself, it has to be good. There's no way it's going to justify them adding so much money to the budget, doing all these reshoots, if it's not good. And just given Zack Snyder's track record, he's a guy you either hate or you love. There's no in between. It's black and white with Zack Snyder. So I think that was just more so what I come from. And I was dead wrong right in the beginning.
Here's what I like about Zack Snyder's take on this universe and why it works for me. DC Comics, the way they're written, what makes them different with Marvel Comics is Marvel Comics' whole thing is that their superheroes are supposed to be like you and me. They're supposed
Tony
to
Stark,
be
Peter
Tony
Parker,
Stark, Peter Parker,
Captain America.
Captain America. They're regular.
Bless you.
They're regular
Amazing,
people through whose certain circumstances were gifted with powers that are beyond, but they struggle. They go through the same things that we do. Now they do have some godlike figures in there, like Thor, who's a part of mythology.
Hulk. You can
Hulk,
kind of, well, I mean,
Somewhat,
he's
but-
still somewhat the common man.
but he's still a common man. Where you compare it to DC, a lot of their characters
Gods amongst men.
are designed to be godlike. DC tries to position itself as the descendant of Greek mythology, of Zeus, and all that, and you actually see that in this movie.
Well, actually,
So-
you see Zeus too.
Yeah, you actually
Oh,
do
yeah,
see
yeah,
Zeus.
yeah, yeah.
What
That's
Amazons, that's part of Greek mythology.
Atlantean, Poseidon.
Poseidon, and even a character like Superman, who's not from Greek mythology, he's the type of character that would exist
And
in Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Even Batman is not a regular person. As much as like
Yeah.
people say, Batman is mythical too, because for one, not anybody could be Bruce Wayne. He's part of a family who's part of the highest, most powerful people in society. They were gunned down. Not anybody could just be Bruce Wayne. Like anybody could be Peter Parker.
Yeah.
So even their depowered ones have a more mythic quality.
Yeah.
And what I liked about this movie is that Zack Snyder actually made a DC Comics as how I see them when I read them, as where they're godlike.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons that I liked is the way that the movie is framed. You notice how a lot of people complain that the black bars on the side.
The 4x3 ratio,
Yeah, the
right?
4x3 ratio.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
loved it.
I
Loved
loved it, and the reason is because comic book panels are not widescreen.
Exactly.
Comic book panels are a little bit more, have a vertical look. And the way that he shoots these characters, like an example, when Wonder Woman bursts through the door, the first time in the bank sequence, the way that she's framed and centered makes her look mythic and godlike, especially when it slows down where you feel like the thundering of the TV as you're allowed to take in the image of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Even the way that it's shot with the panels, like, it reminds me of comic book panels when she's blocking everything in slow motion. Those are the types of shots that you see when you read a comic book.
Right.
Bam.
And I think that just goes back to Zack Snyder and I think this is one of the good things about stuff that he does when he does movies like this is that fact you can tell that he's a nerd at his heart and
Yeah.
he understands Watchmen was pretty much just adapted
Mm-hmm.
pretty much all throughout. So you can just see that influence and that effect of this guy's a nerd at his heart and this guy loves
It
Hey,
looks like it's made by somebody who actually understands
Yeah.
DC Comics in particular
Yeah.
and the godlike nature of what
Yeah.
they were supposed to represent. The way that he films everybody makes everybody look huge or giant or larger than life. The shots of like Batman, like from underneath, remind me of shots of comic book panels.
Yeah.
Like, so much of it reminded me of that. And of course, by him doing the Age of Heroes segment, where they go back in time and you see Zeus fighting, you see the Atlanteans, Amazons.
you
and
see
then-
that was a
the Green
great
Lantern
scene.
and then you see the Green Lantern I think
Yeah,
Yalahur I think
Yeah.
this is Yalinger.
Yeah, so it's the first one where they were
Yeah.
godlike. I felt like there was a godlike thing in Batman versus Superman, but the difference is Batman was an asshole in that movie, so I didn't think he was likable, and I thought Superman was too mopey. This one, Batman is neither a joke or a jerk. He's actually feels like Batman, and he feels like a good person trying to do the right thing. Superman is no longer an emo. He's the positive character that is meant
Yeah.
to project hope
It is just
for everybody. Like
it's
fits
very
what I like.
subtle, but I think something that really you can feel that essence from it is when and this is the first time you actually see him interacting with Alfred in a cinematic format, but when Alfred's working on the car, having his whiskey, and then Superman just comes, there's something so subtle, like it's very subtle, there's not a whole lot of dialogue, but
That's the way
you're
he's
just the
saying it.
way that he's projected and the way he comes across. Like, it's just like, I'm assuming you're Alfred. Oh, Master Kent. I don't know. I just felt like that was the true version of what we were missing from Superman, and just the way that he's projected and the way that people see him. Like, it was just so subtle and so small, but I loved it, honestly.
What's cool is Superman has the smallest part of any of the heroes, but
Yeah.
you get the sense that in this universe, even though he doesn't have as much screen time, he is the god of superheroes. That people forget that Superman is the king of superheroes, the original superhero, the one where they get their name from. So the way that they build up, I feel like the fact that it's 3 hours, almost like 3 hours before you get to Superman, you get to feel the sense of what the DC universe is like now that Superman's dead. It's more open to threats, the attacks, the mother boxes awaken because they know that they don't have, they have much less of a chance. Yeah. So like Superman's resurrection, which was actually my favorite thing about the Joss Whedon, and Zack Snyder's was like that, but even a little bit better. Like I like how they built him up to be the god of superheroes of the DC universe. Like he actually means something, and he's positive. He's positive, and that's an important thing. Superman needs to be hopeful and project positivity. And I felt like for the first time in the DC Snyderverse, I finally got the Superman as I see Superman in the comic books.
Yeah.
Finally got Batman as I see them.
And I don't think that's necessarily something that you should blame Snyder for, because his thing was about building up a character arc.
Yeah,
He starts off in Man of Steel, Batman, Superman, and then he comes into that classic big blue Boy Scout version of Superman that we know and love. Well, I won't say everybody loves, but at least that we know, because people do have their complaints about it, but that's a whole
How
other
badass
topic.
is that black suit, silver suit,
I
that
love it.
classic look
Love
from
it.
the comic books?
It's actually pretty funny too, because so for those of you who don't know, it's actually very faithful to the comics, because when Superman is resurrected in the reign of the Superman, he dons the that black outfit that you see. It's actually funny too, because so it's actually very reminiscent and faithful to the comics, but it's actually funny because apparently Zack Snyder did have a push to have, and when Superman's resurrected, he actually comes out with a mullet, and apparently Snyder did try to push for that, but that Warner Brothers rejected it, so like, that would have been kind of funny to see Henry Cavill rocking a mullet.
I would have supported it only because it's a classic comic book look.
Yeah.
But here's another thing.
That would have been fun.
Is it me, or does Wonder Woman's black suit in Justice League look more colorful than his red and blue suit in Man of Steel? And like, I know that sounds weird, but this doesn't look as drained of color as
Which is kind of weird, because Snyder's known for desaturating.
Yeah, or
I get what you're trying to say on that.
the blues and the reds
Yeah.
look so dull, and
Yeah.
the ones I feel like the black suit
No,
looks more vibrant than the
No,
suit.
because obviously one of Snyder's biggest critiques is that he desaturates a lot of his coloring, which I definitely agree with. But for here,
well, for that universe, it works very
but
well.
I think for the suit, like for this one, maybe he caught on to what it was and like saw the complaints. Because I definitely felt that way. I was looking at it like, this looks more vibrant and more lively than the classic red blue in Man of Steel, which is something like kind of
I find funny.
I find very funny. Actually.
Alright, so the movie's still desaturated, but not
Definitely.
to the same extent where it looks drained of color. It's still colorful enough. And like everybody gets a kick-ass introduction in this movie.
Oh yeah.
I don't think and I love the original Wonder Woman movie. I don't think she's ever been as badass
in this film.
Oh my god, she looks powerful when she like busts into that when she's like taking down the terrorists. And that's another cool thing too. If you guys notice, it's hard to notice when she hits those guys and they go slammed against the wall.
They go
you
flying.
see blood like spatter, and sometimes she's killing all of them.
Yep.
And
that was a good thing about the R-rated version. You got
and
to
I
see
like that because in reality, what Snyder is doing, and he said, is like, look, if godlike heroes existed on this planet, if they punched people, they wouldn't just hit against the wall and be fine. They would go flying.
It would be
Yeah.
somebody like Wonder Woman, who's a demigod, the daughter of Zeus. You gotta take into fact she's gonna obliterate any normal person, probably 10 of them within 5 seconds, like she freaking did.
And that scene was so badass.
Especially when she
the suit,
the briefcase,
the suit. Yeah, the briefcase in the air, and then it slows down, and you just see that image. That's like a classic comic book panel.
Very.
Dude. Damn.
And when you read a classic comic book panel, you look at that image for a long time. You don't just rush into it. You appreciate the art. So it even replays like how you read a comic book, like freezing that moment for 1 second and just appreciate
visualize it.
Yeah.
Also, another thing that I really liked about this, and I expected the shot to end after she does the classic clashing of her bracelets, so I kind of thought that's where the scene was gonna end. But it kept going, and to my surprise, I was like, oh shit, I didn't expect this, because you actually see Wonder Woman being a hero, and you see her actually caring about these people. Instead of just defeating the bad guys, it's about protecting the innocent
What she
and
says
showing
to
that
that little
empathy.
girl is sweet.
Yeah.
When she's
Even just her act, like, hey, come on, you guys all stand up. Like, you see, like, yes, this is a demigod, one of the most powerful beings in the world, just took out 12 guys in 5-10 seconds, whatever it was, but she obviously cares about protecting the innocent, and cares about these people.
Yeah.
Gentle, yeah.
Yeah, and like she's rough with the bad guys, but gentle with everybody else. And I thought that was a really sweet moment.
I mean, actually see her being a hero.
Yeah, I asked her, "Can I be like you when I get?" She says, "You could be anything you want."
I feel like
and that's what superheroes are
that's
supposed to
something
be.
too, though. I feel
It's
like
very heartwarming,
that
honestly.
little girl could have led to something in the future too, though. I
Like
don't know,
something,
somehow, you
somehow
know,
that like
like the
inspired
way
her.
with in the MCU, you know, the little kid that Iron Man saved, you know, how what
Turned out to be Spider. Or it's rarely retconned to be Peter Parker,
It's
but
Peter Parker, apparently.
Yeah.
See, yeah, you inspire people to. Superheroes are supposed to inspire people to be the best versions of themselves.
so
Maybe that's what he wants them to
let's talk about characterization.
Who's Tom Holland? That trips me out.
Whose character do you think had improved the most with this version?
Cyborg.
Definitely.
Cyborg, yeah.
Cyborg is actually a
yeah,
character in this.
Mhm.
I feel like in the original Justice League, we'll call it that. In Justice League, Cyborg is like kind of there, and you get like a really like quick backstory that doesn't really explain the extent of how powerful he is.
Yeah, it just said like my dad
Yeah.
used a mother box to bring me back, but that was about it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they don't emphasize it. Like in this movie, he is so important to the plot because
Yeah.
he's part of the mother
Yeah.
boxes.
Well, that's exactly why I was gonna say I thought he was gonna have a bigger role, or that we were gonna see more of him in the original cut, just because like I know from reading that this was taking inspiration from Cyborg in this, because he's a founding member of the Justice League in the New 52, and just like so I was saying to myself, he was born from the mother box. He's how they figure out a plan to defeat Darkseid and close the boom tubes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this guy is probably the most important member of the group.
For him, that's a good
And for him just to not have that do, I was just telling myself, man, this sucks. Like,
I can
this
actually
is a huge
see
travesty.
why Ray Fisher was pissed off, because it's an emotional storyline. It's very detailed,
Very.
and it's like so important that I can only imagine what it would be like to be working on a film, and your character as an actor, you're getting elevated and you're getting all this good stuff to work with, and they say, we're gonna cut all of that off, and you'll just be kind of
You'll just
there.
be there.
It's like that arc with his father is so emotional and so touching, and I just, especially, it's more so touching for me
You
because
like him more too.
well, more so because obviously I love Terminator 2, so seeing Joe Morton again in a sci-fi setting is so, as a scientist is so
He's the
cool.
one who created the Terminator, and is the reason Terminator. So he creates Cyborg. You know that
It's not
Zack.
connected.
You know that Zack Snyder totally cast him because for like, dude, the fanboys are gonna love this. This guy is most famous for creating a
Exactly.
humanoid machine. So why not?
So now he's creating another one.
another one. So yeah, I trust me, I geeked out on that thing.
And just even building up on that backstory and knowing that he
Or
had
that
that
scene
rift
with
with his
the-
father.
Or just another like scene that I liked with there was when he's hearing his dad say the powers that he has. Like,
Yeah,
he's like, now,
all his abilities,
now
everything he can
now
do.
He could do everything he wants.
Well, this is a digital frontier, so obviously a
And then he
character like
ends up helping- he ends up
Cyborg.
helping that woman too. I was like,
I love that
and
scene.
it showed that humbleness of him. Like,
It shows that these people are good people. All right, so the impression I get, a lot of these people these characters are in mourning. They're
Yeah.
sad, they're damaged and stuff, and sometimes they act like they don't give a shit and they kind of have attitudes. But especially the way Cyborg does. He actually had that line where he said, what did he say? He said, "Fuck the world."
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does.
And but before that, you saw him give. Before that, you saw him giving a poor single mother
Like $100,000.
$100,000.
yeah.
And you get the sense that a lot of these people pretend to be harder than they are.
Exactly.
They really care.
I
They
mean,
just-
and Wonder Woman said it too when she was talking to him. I was like, and I understand, like, you're fighting it too, but you're giving it a chance because you looked for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's like she was talking about Steve herself when she was like, I still haven't gotten over my like,
Exactly.
death. It was like, but I'm trying.
Yeah, and I think that was just a really great arc with him and Silas, 'cause especially reminding me so much of the comics on Silas's kind of hard, tough demeanor towards Victor. because of that fact, he was so busy working on stuff at Star Labs and didn't have time to go and was so consumed with the metahumans and like these people can do amazing things. Yeah, you have a football scholarship, you're very smart, but what you're doing is going to be rendered obsolete by we have a guy who can enter the Speed Force and run at the speed of light and probably way beyond faster. We got a Kryptonian here who can do pretty much whatever and has all these powers. So what you do, I'm sorry, son, but what you do is obsolete, so I'm not going to go to your football games. And that's pretty much how he explained it in the comics, but it was more so, I won't say that's what his thought process was.
Thought process.
That is.
Yeah, it is. But you got the sense that he was just more so consumed with his work.
You're important, but not enough for a human.
Not enough.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much what Silas tells him when he's like, Dad, like, are you gonna come to my game? Like, I have scouts looking at me. I'm sorry, son, but he doesn't say it that way, but he says like, what you can do is not gonna be anywhere near to what the metahumans and these superpowered beings can do. And obviously that's not exactly the way they portray Silas in this film, but you get the sense that he was just so consumed by his work and working with the mother box that he just didn't really see the importance or didn't really understand the significance on, oh, it's just one game, I'll go to the next one or something. And then you obviously saw that riff with Victor and how he was portraying his relationship with his father and was always looking at that as, you know, if it wasn't for you, if you just had been there, you could have saved Mom, or we both could have been all right.
That storyline is like probably the most emotional storyline, especially in the way that it ends, where he's confronted, where he says, "I'm not broken, I'm not alone."
Exactly.
Like,
the mother box is playing with him.
Yeah, like these heroes get like Cyborg gets such a good story where you feel emotionally, you feel for him, you feel where he's going through.
Yeah.
You root for him, and then when he conquers everything, his inner fears, the way that the mother box is trying to play with him, it's actually a pretty inspiring moment. And holy shit, is he powerful. He has control the nuclear arsenal of the world. That almost made me feel like almost irresponsible to give somebody that much power.
Well, you gotta figure, I mean,
he can manipulate walls, the bank systems, and crash the entire
Well, you gotta think, he's made out of alien technology, and now this is a digital frontier, and this is a digital world now. You got to figure a person like that who can tap into all of that and hack any system, anything involving technology, internet. You got to figure that person would be a freaking god.
And I think all the visuals when you go inside his eye and then you see like the visualization of his inner world, is so cool. The way that Zack Snyder sets it up, I was like, dude, he did such a good job with like the visuals.
But that's his bread and butter though.
Yeah, but I feel like this is the best use of that style.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, with 4 hours.
Yeah, you definitely gotta have that.
4 hours.
Yeah, he did a lot.
I definitely had
so much more amazing. You had that time to give that story arc to every single.
Because by the time it ends, you care about everybody.
Every single one.
Exactly.
Invested in everybody.
I definitely got Watchmen vibes when Silas triggered the heat reactor to heat up the mother box when he just disintegrates. I don't know if you guys felt that way, but I definitely felt like that might have been a callback to Watchmen.
Might be a little. I mean, it's a director of Watchmen, so of course he's gonna call back.
Yeah, he was gonna have to do something.
What about Flash? What did you guys think about Flash and Barry Allen's portrayal this time?
Flash was one of the least things I had wrong with the Justice League version. I thought he was fine.
Too many jokes, too much.
He wasn't the worst. I think he was fine.
Exactly.
I feel like he was what was good in there, but improved, and I like that. And one of the things that I feel is like a damn shame. His introduction scene where he saves the girl in the car accident.
So good.
And like that song is playing where he runs out and like you get to see time going slow by that. And it's such an awesome sequence that I'm like, how the hell can you take that out?
Yeah. Or even, not only that, but just that, the sequence that they were hinting at his true power and what he can really do, and he goes back in time to right before the destruction of the world, before the Unity starts. Yeah, how do you take that out? That was such a great sequence. The soundtrack is awesome, and
inspiring too when he's talking about his dad. Almost like talking. He's like, I want you to know he's like the best of the best.
Which is what his dad tells him. Like, you know, my son is the best of the best. And not only that, but to me, it's the arc of when, in the moment where he goes from just a goofy kid who can run fast, wants to help save the world, wants to do his part,
just reverses the course of history,
to becoming the Flash. Yeah, and even just like Ezra Miller got a lot of flack when he was first casted, especially with the long hair, which I was like, okay, I'm not feeling. But in that sequence, that his acting is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
His acting is freaking so good. You can hear the desperation in his voice, and just you gotta go faster than the speed of light. You gotta break the speed of light faster than the speed of light. You gotta do it now, Barry. Let's go. And it's just, oh my god, his acting is just phenomenal.
It's the moment where he becomes a fat Flash, and I feel like the Flash. I feel like this movie is filled with like moments that if you're a fan of these characters, you're gonna like you might even get a little emotional on certain parts, the way that their character arcs resolve, and the way that everything comes full circle. I think the least changed out of all of these people
was Aquaman.
Yep.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Everything.
He's good.
I will say this:
Everything
he's less of a dick. If you notice, he's he's brooding definitely, but he's just less of a dick this time around. Like, he definitely seems like he has more compassion and more understanding and empathy. Like, towards Cyborg, I think this hits the most, because I was rewatching the Justice League last night in preparation for this, and he's very confrontational with Cyborg from the very beginning. He's right away questioning whether he's being real, or whether he's he's affected by the Mother Box, and if he's really working for Apocalypse and Steppenwolf. And he's just that sequence when they come back to the Batcave after the sequence where they all confront Steppenwolf, and you see him for the first time when he saves them through like Gotham Harbor, because Cyborg says something about, I can't track it, it's not working right now, and Aquaman goes straight up, says, it's not working, or you just don't want to. But this time around, he's actually like, when he loses his father, right away he's like, this was on us, so that, like, I knew we shouldn't have done this. And
he cares more.
He did. And then even then too, when he sees him working, like, he's looking at him and Flash and looking at him, he's like, we're asking a kid who just lost his father to save the world. It's not right. I mean, but also too, I think it plays more.
But he's the least.
One. I'm sorry, but I think it's more so because when you understand Aquaman has such a huge connection to his father. I think that's just where the similarities come, and they're hinting at his connection with his own, and him being sympathetic because of his own connection with Thomas.
That also calls back to Batman versus Superman and the Martha moment. Mm-hmm. Except I think this does that same concept
a little bit better.
Quite a bit better. Quite a bit better. But you could see that Zack Snyder wants people to relate and like
have those moments.
Yeah, have those moments where they relate to each other on a human level, like characters. Like, it seems to be a thing where certain superheroes might be suspicious of each other, but there's some common kind of pain or shared trauma.
It just goes to show their growth and that time sequence, like how they first started fighting. Flash even says, like, this is not organized, like, this is not the plan, like. And then by the end, like, they're not even setting up a plan. It's just their connections together and how they have each other that just works fluently.
Everybody had a crucial role.
Yeah, definitely.
It would not have won if every single person didn't play their part.
Yeah.
That's what made it cool.
I will say this though.
Had something important to
I will say this character was the most important because he brought them all together. You knew that this was coming. So
Batman!
Big salute to the GOAT. Best of all time. Is it Boat? Are we saying Goat and Boat? Is that a thing too? Best of all time and greatest of all time?
Here's my thing. Superman is the king of superheroes, I'll admit that. But Batman is just the fucking coolest. I'm sorry.
He's the Boat.
I don't write the rules, people.
He's the Boat. He's our Boat.
But
and the characterizations, the interactions between them are so much more natural, so much more better. You're not having racially charged jokes about Flash and Flash not being able to fist bump Cyborg, and you have
moments.
There's just more honest heart to hearts, and I don't even think you really saw Aquaman and Wonder Woman interact instead of that one sequence where Aquaman was sitting on the lasso of truth, so he started rambling, and then they had that heart to heart.
But I like that their people went to war with each other in the past, and it makes it better that they're uniting, that their people have a history. And even Wonder Woman at first, she's like, I don't know if we can trust him, and I was like, come on, Wonder Woman, don't say that. I was just like, why? But Batman is the most improved because look. I don't like him in Batman vs. Superman because I think he's too negative.
It's just you don't like Ben Affleck. You could just say
No. I don't like him. I liked him even less in Justice League because he was a joke. This one, I'm like, he's not a joke anymore, and he's not overly negative. He is the Batman that's supposed to be dark and brooding, yes, but a good person.
To continue seeing him as Batman?
All right, here's the thing. I like Ben Affleck as Batman within the larger DC universe, but for individual Batman movies,
No.
I'd rather see somebody else. But for a Justice League universe, I actually think the Ben Affleck one makes sense.
Well,
Because you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, how for like an individualized Batman story, I'd rather have another actor. But for this version of the larger
It only
DC
fits,
universe,
It
it
works.
fits. And
Yeah.
it really does look like The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah,
The
he definitely
look
does.
and the suit.
He just
And-
definitely, not only that, but his scenes are just better. His action, he actually is more competent and able to do more with
He doesn't
the league.
look
and
out of place.
Yeah.
No,
In the first one,
Yeah.
he looked like he did no place battling with
he
dogs
needed
like that.
he needed his like actual thing.
I mean, his freaking gauntlets can absorb the rays from the parademons, and he's just
Yeah.
taking them. I'm like, just
Alright,
freaking
you know what's
awesome.
the coolest thing? What also makes Batman cool? The only one without superpowers, and who's the one who busts through the barrier in the wall?
Yeah.
It's Batman. And I like this when Aquaman lands on his thing after, and he's like, "Wow, you really are out of your mind." I was like, that's cool because part of the reason that Batman can do what he does is
It's 'cause he's out of his
out
mind.
of his mind because
Yeah.
nobody would attempt to do
Shit
as a
like that.
human.
Because
try to break through
in the
barrier.
in Justice League there wasn't a dome
Iron Man.
protecting it, right?
We're talking about the DC universe.
There wasn't a dome protecting
Yeah.
protecting that area, right?
I don't remember.
For as far as I know, I don't think there was. And the fact that this dude just went, took out the dome, gave them a chance, and then yeah.
It's like, that's
I also-
my Batman.
I also like
There we
that
go.
he's not. He
He's
didn't
the
make.
only one that had the weapons like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean they could have.
They
Flash
could've,
probably.
used Cyborg?
Flash probably could have vibrated through.
Nah, I doubt it.
Well, Flash had to do something
Flash-
else.
He had to run.
He had to run.
No, but I mean as far as the dome, like
Shit,
Flash
if
could have
Flash is
vibrated
the
through
one-
the dome.
Flash is the one who saved the day, if anything. If you think
Well,
about
they
it.
all-
no,
they all
he
did.
did. No, he did.
They
No,
all
he
did.
But what I'm
No,
saying is
fuck that.
When it
everybody.
came to it,
That's
Flash
what
is the one who saved it.
Oh,
when
yeah,
it
but
came
they
down to
all
it.
had an important part.
Yeah.
Oh
to
yeah,
make
without doubt,
everything-
nothing.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
when it all
I
comes
feel
down
like-
to
I
it,
feel like you're
Flash,
taking-
Barry Allen is the one that saved the day. in
I
that-
feel
in
like
that
you're
film.
taking issue with me calling Batman the coolest.
Yeah,
I think I hit a
I
wrong
do.
nerve.
'Cause I'm a
Okay.
Superman kind of man.
I know.
You already
Well,
that.
he's the
I
bu-
said he's the king of superheroes.
Yeah,
He is the king of superheroes.
But he's not
But-
good. I think.
And I just like how they
What's up?
and especially that sequence when Aquaman lands on the Batmobile. I just like how they took out that stupid "I'm not the one with the pitchfork." Like
No,
Brute
it's
If
Batman
you want
would
to
not
go
say
style, Aquaman for sure.
Aquaman is fucking cool.
Style without.
But I just
Yeah,
like how
it's
he's come, you're
cool.
out of your mind, you're
Mm.
out of your mind, where I was like, yeah, he is out of his mind, and that's
I
part
mean,
of
I think we
that.
can all agree upon that, honestly.
Yeah, I feel without that, I feel crazy.
But-
That's why he
No,
is
but-
who he is. You know what I'm saying?
And I like that we just had more of them interacting with each other in their fights, and they were doing partner moves, and all of that was really cool. I really like that aspect of the film.
What it really got me excited for is coming up with the Flash, because the way they built up that story out for him in Justice League
Oh,
works
yeah.
out. Like him saving the day is.
He's
him
the one who
creating the
reversed time,
alternate-
because,
He's the one that created those alternative universes.
I mean,
and then
to an
that's where
extent
the
you are
cutscene
right.
comes in,
Uh,
yeah.
It's important, because basically, they all gave it their best, and Superman came back and they were still defeated. It was because the Flash ran and reversed time.
Mm.
So yeah, he did play maybe a bigger role, but I feel like they couldn't have done it without Superman, though.
They couldn't do it without.
it
They couldn't do it without Cyborg the majority too.
Cyborg,
because he was the
yeah.
one holding the mother box.
And so, what did you guys think about Steppenwolf in this film?
So much better.
So much better.
The way the
beginning
suit
when they
just-
introduced him, too much CGI.
Okay, some of the CGI is a little wonky in here and there. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
There's some of it, and I could tell that it's some of the CGI looks a little cheap here and there in a way that if this were a theatrical release going in for the first
They
time,
didn't have enough time yet.
they would have probably spent a little
Yeah.
bit more time and money. So
Yeah.
I was able to like, okay, it's questionable here and there, but it's effective. Steppenwolf is not the best villain, but it's still better than what we
He was
got.
indestructible too, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like no matter what he got shot with, freaking armor was just able to
The armor
freaking
was the
shit.
morph.
Freaking
Yeah,
his-
morph was
yeah, it
dope.
was morphing,
I-
shitting.
I just
You know
like
what
how
I'm
they.
kinda
saying?
cool, though.
It was pretty
I like
cool.
that.
Yeah, I did like that a
That's
lot.
pretty dope.
It was badass.
I just like how they really. They gave us more of a backstory on Apocalypse and Darkseid, and
They went
That
there
whole
with the
thing-
anti-life
yeah.
equation.
and then bringing in the anti-life, because Darkseid obviously is one of my favorite villains. So I like how they. And the thing that worried me when we saw
Darkseid
him.
is not even in
Yeah,
the original.
That was the
Justice
thing that
League.
worried me. I'm like,
Yeah.
crap, we're getting
we got
Darkseid too.
the
Like, how are
Darkseid,
we?
we
What's
saw-
gonna happen? Or
Had a lot.
And he was awesome.
and he was awesome.
He looks just like I imagined Darkseid
Mm.
would look.
It was
in
clean.
real
Exactly.
life.
Like cool,
Clean.
clean look.
And I think it gives it a more of a threat level than just Steppenwolf. When you make Steppenwolf smaller, where like he seems like godlike to these people, but when Darkseid shows up, he bows and takes his armor goes off and he like bows before.
And mind you too, that's his nephew, so it must gotta be pretty embarrassing to
and then when he just mashes his
have your nephew treated like that. But I do like how they gave him reasons and motivation for doing what he does. He's not just some generic bad guy sent by Darkseid to retrieve the mother boxes. This guy's on a mission to come back to Apocalypse, and
he has a character arc too.
Yeah, he has an arc, and he actually has reasons and motivation.
All right, so
he's definitely more intimidating and definitely scarier, and is somebody to be feared. But
in the original Justice League, he was basically showed up, and he was like your generic villain who mumbles end of the world gibberish like every villain does. But he still did that here, but it made sense. And the first one is just like, why is he here? I guess to take over the world, but is there a reason? Like, I mean, we've heard that everybody wants to take over the world. That's not a good character motivation. It's dumb. And here, it's redemption. It's him trying to get back on Darkseid's good side. It's him trying to get back into his good graces. Just that makes the story so much better, is that you actually understand the reasoning behind it. It doesn't just seem random.
And I like just how they gave, even though we don't know much about Darkseid and they showed very little of him, we actually saw his obsession with the anti-life equation, which if you're a comic book fan, that's his whole shtick and what he's after and what he is. What he's consumed by and his motivations for doing what he does, like Darkseid is after. And obviously we got a hint of the anti-life equation when he was using it to control Superman in the nightmare sequence. So, which I guess we'll talk about that. What did you guys think about the two nightmare sequences we got?
I think they're nice little teases, and it's hard to.
Sad to know that that's not coming.
We don't know. I mean, as of right now. But I feel like, all right. So this is what I think. That would have never have happened if Zack Snyder had stood on the project and he had his way. And there was no Justice League, that wouldn't have been there. The reason he put it there is because he wants to show what he had planned, and if he's never going to get to do it, he at least wanted to put it there. So the idea of the universe he was building. I also think he did it for another reason too.
He noticed that released the Snyder Cut, which a lot of people joked about for years. Nobody thought that was actually like legitimate or it's going to happen. If that can happen, who's to say that Warner Brothers might not decide that we want to take this forward, especially with the positive reception and the fan reception. It seems like fans are responding very well to this movie all across the board.
It's a movie to watch again for sure.
And Jared Leto actually was good as the Joker. That was the most shocking thing.
That was another whole fan thing now, right? That they just that little scene between him and Batman was just so.
It hints at so much history between them. How the Joker killed Robin when he says, "You send in a boy wonder to do
a man's job."
There you have it right there. And this Joker knows he's Bruce Wayne because he's mocking him about his parents. He's like, "Don't say too much." And I like that they have the truce. And I was like, dude, I want to see that movie now. I want to see Batman and Joker and Deathstroke and Mirror all have to like unite because the threat is so big.
Well,
because we just saw Deathstroke.
We saw Deathstroke with.
And now they're okay, or now they're on good terms. So
they have to be.
They have to be when you're going up against.
But as far as even the way they're talking, they're not like you don't really get the sense that there's like that huge backstory behind it, because obviously when he goes with Luthor, he says it's like, yo, you offered to do this case pro bono. Free, like why pro bono?
Because he hates Bruce Wayne. He hates Batman. He wants to annihilate him. So that's how you know the threat is serious.
Aquaman is there too, so they have
Wonder Woman's dead.
Aquaman is dead.
Yeah, Aquaman's dead. No, he's right.
So which one did Aquaman get killed? I was confused. Did he get killed was he the one with getting killed by the Trident or by the Omega beams?
By the Trident.
I think by the
because I couldn't tell. The shot was far.
It was by the. I think it was by the Trident.
No, because there was two there.
No, it was Aquaman with the Trident. It was Wonder Woman and the casket with the coins, and then it was Superman holding Lois. You would say Lois or
dead Lois. He was also holding a bat cowl.
Down to it was because Batman didn't sacrifice himself for Lois and shit.
Well, we don't know. We just said that he just said that we know that there's something with that.
There was something bigger because I mean, in that cutscene,
Kilowog, the Green Lantern.
Well, there's a one time I believe Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you too selfish right now. Like,
And you know what? The Joker's probably talking sense to him too. He's like, yeah, how many timelines have you messed up because you don't want to die? Yeah.
And how ironic is that? The one that's the craziest of them all is the one that's making the most sense.
Because
that's how it is, man.
but that's the thing about the Joker. I think that makes him interesting. Is sometimes, as wrong as he is, some of his points are legitimate.
Yeah,
some of his ideas are legitimate.
Crazy. People just think that whatever's coming out of his mouth, like, don't listen to him. He's a lunatic. He's a crazy guy.
No, he has some good points to make.
They toned down a lot and took out all of the
no damage.
Pablo Escobar, all of that BS of him.
How are we gonna know he's damaged though if we don't see the tattoo?
I'm still not on board with
the
this.
I'm just joking.
I have no tattoo.
I'm still not on board
A lot
with
of
this
murders
laugh,
in
The laugh
real
is
life
cool.
don't have.
I don't like-
I know. I'm
So
just
you
kidding.
the
Serial
high
killers.
pitch Hamill laugh.
Well, because in that sense of how he did it like very monotone and shit. She was just like,
This is me. I'm not on board with it. Is all I'm saying.
Okay, I'll put it this way.
like
The
hearing
one
an
it was
Not on
acceptable.
board with it. It's actually legit. Oh my god. Man.
No, but you don't think he's better than this in Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying he's better. That's the only thing I don't like is just his laugh.
like-
Everything else.
But do you like his voice?
he had more
like,
a cynical laugh a little bit and
It didn't seem
Suicide
forced.
Squad when he
yeah, it didn't seem. You're right.
forced.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It didn't seem.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of cool because you know that. All right, I know Joker's gonna become, and I think Deathstroke is the one who points it out, right? He's like, "How did you? Are you sure it was good to bring him?" Oh, no.
Wilson, it was Deathstroke.
Yeah, Deathstroke. Yeah.
Sure, it was a good idea to bring him.
Like
on.
that laugh and like the card, the truce,
Yeah.
all of it. I'm
And
just saying.
Batman responding with the Harley Quinn.
So I think Jared Leto legit might be a good Joker with the right director.
With
Once
the
I saw him in
right
the little
director,
things,
yeah.
When I saw him in the little things, I'm like, okay, like this guy could play a good. Like,
I think he shocked all of us. I know nobody expected to walk away thinking, "Oh, Jared Leto could actually be the Joker."
Mm-hmm.
That was the last thing I
See,
expected.
embrace this, Jerry. I remember I was talking smack a lot of time when you first beginning.
you got your redemption.
But you got
Mr.
your
Leto.
redemption, and all you gotta do is embrace it. You know, don't be over here talking smack about Joaquin. Like, I should have been the original Joker. Nah, bro.
Be your own
if
Joker.
anything, when it comes to actresses and characters, hey man, fight for your spot. And who you got your second redemption, like Josh said. And if it comes down to it, hey, for all we know, you guys might be on the same freaking film future,
Maybe,
different
but-
multiverses. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
Different Earths.
Yep, I wouldn't be
I'm saying. I
surprised.
do like him on this one. I don't know why Nick
Yeah,
hated
he's
him.
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
but overall, Justice League definitely gets an 8 out of 10 from me, and I think all of us here have been pretty positive and receptive on it. So
that
if you
was a
guys
funny-
are in limbo about whether you should check it out,
That's a 9 out of
check
10
it
from
out,
me.
please. It's a
Remember, I give the
4
highest
hours, but
recommendation,
check it out, 2
9.
hours, and
You can watch
I
it in chapters.
I waited for that to drop at midnight. I watched it like when it dropped, and I watched the whole thing straight through.
yeah,
Straight
same here.
through.
Same here.
Addictive.
But don't worry if you don't have the stamina or the will to do so,
I think what is it?
because we're unique.
HBO
Yeah, we're
MAX
unique.
until April 30th, I believe. So take it off.
Something like that.
Yeah, you got a month, guys.
So
Yeah.
we're all in agreement then. Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Great.
Here's another thing. What do you think's going to happen with the DC universe moving forward? Because this throws a wrench in their plans.
It
They're
does.
in a really
Still
tough
for
spot,
grabs.
honestly.
Still for grabs.
Because I know people are calling to restore the Snyderverse, but the only problem with that is they have a whole film slate already planned out that ignores that. And movies are already going in production, directors, actors, writers, crew people. You can't just burn your bridges with everybody that you made contracts
Even,
with and stuff like
Superman,
like that.
Calvin,
Henry?
Henry Cavill, he's in limbo. We don't even
in limbo,
know.
and-
Yeah.
I don't know if rumors are true. About a month ago, or maybe a month
he
after,
comes
He's trying to
back.
get-
he's trying to get into it in Marvel.
What?
Yeah, but he's doing that. You know why he's doing that though?
What's the force
Because
thing on his hand?
they
And
want
not only that,
no.
they're introducing
He's
the
trying to get
Black
them to raise his
Superman
pay.
too, though. Not only that, they're gonna introduce the Black Superman.
But that-
I don't know if Michael B. Jordan is gonna portray that role. But
The one
I've
written
seen
by
people
Ta-Nehisi
that
Coates.
do
But
that.
the thing is, with a Robert Pattinson Batman already taking place outside of the
they're
regular
different
DC
worlds,
universe,
though. Yeah,
you
exactly.
could still have a Black Superman and still have the Henry Cavill
And
version
you
of
can still have
Superman in the
Justice
universe.
League, though, as long as they're all in different Earths.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
That's
thing.
just the
that's
way you
up
would
there.
extend the multiverse and make
the-
it different. Like instead of just trying to burgeon everything into just one movie, you're
And-
expanding it in different ones where you're everything.
Yeah.
Bringing it together.
And why I think this is going to be difficult for Warner Brothers to walk away with is because they've been trying for years to get a successful DC universe that feels whole, that could compete with Marvel. I feel like this movie finally gave them the DC universe that you wanted.
Yeah.
This is what you had. Like, it's going to be difficult to build all that back up all over again to do another Justice League movie.
A lot of people are hyped to see more, honestly.
So, if they were looking for their universe, that's their answer to Marvel. You finally got it. Now you don't. It's up to you what you want to do with it, because you're never going to be able to build that up to the same way again.
Yeah.
At all.
I don't see that.
I
Yeah.
don't either. So they're in a really rough spot, honestly. It's a rough spot that we haven't seen before, so it's going to be interesting what they do next. If they just shutter it and say that's the end of it, and just go on with the other movies that they have planned, even though they're going to have, obviously, Aquaman, Wonder Woman is going to come back, and Flash, and so it's going to be kind of weird what's going to happen next with all of this.
Flash would be the best working one with the
I'm okay, but all right. So let's say the Snyderverse doesn't continue. I will say this: I'm grateful that Warner Brothers actually has a Justice League movie in their archives, a good live-action Justice League movie that's worthy of that property. Like, so if nothing else, we got it.
At the end too.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
I would fight for you.
Exactly, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you guys check it out. It is great.
So our cameras went out. We're sorry if you're watching this, you can't see us anymore, but we're gonna be wrapping this up now.
So we thank you guys so much for joining us. Sorry that it took us a little bit to get another episode, but we're just really glad that we could be here and give you guys this. Make sure you guys check out Justice League. This is the Heroes and Mutants podcast, and we'll see you next time. Thank you guys.
All right.
Thank you, y'all.
Okay.